Yeah, as she said, I'm Tom Bean, CEO of and co-founder of bZx, and we're also a margin lending protocol. We didn't make Vitaly's list, but we're working hard. Hopefully, we make it soon. We're not as well known yet, so I think today it'd be good to give a brief intro. Oh, it's not working. Give a brief intro to our protocol, and then talk about some exciting releases, product releases we have coming soon, and then good. Okay, so. Yeah, so Anna said we're radically permissionless. So by that means, well, I'll touch on that in a bit, but we are a protocol, a series of network of smart contracts on the Ethereum mainnet, and we offer non-custodial, trustless margin lending. Peer-to-peer loans can be over-collateralized or under-collateralized, and leverage trading, shorting, stuff like that. And we're also a full solution for DEXs that want to add margin lending and shorting and leverage loans in a decentralized fashion to their end users. So we're a full solution to that. We have a JavaScript library and some other tools that make it easy to integrate. So we're integrated with bZx and also on-chain liquidity providers like Kyber Swap and OasisDex and Bancor and others for price discovery, for managing assets once loans are open, and for liquidations. And we kind of follow the bZx model. It's kind of a hybrid. We have the bZx model where it's off-chain setup of orders, off-chain signaling. Orders can be created and then hashed and signed by the maker and then distributed arbitrarily through any means, sent to DEXs and go into order books, or they can be pushed on-chain immediately if the end user doesn't want to deal with do anything off-chain. And also, with any lending product, lender funds, protecting lender funds are very important. So we have very fast margin calls that happen on-chain, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. So two types of loans. Some of the lending products only support, they kind of focus on one or the other. We're trying to cover all the different use cases, be very flexible. So the borrower can over-collateralize their loan. They could put up, say, like 140%, like 100% of the principal plus some additional margin, and then they can withdraw to their wallet and use the funds for whatever. Or the more interesting use case, I think, is margin loans. So they can under-collateralize and, say, borrow 4 or 5 times the collateral value they're putting up. And then when that happens, we need a way to closely monitor the position and ensure the lender is going to be made whole. So in that case, it gets escrowed in our contracts, and the trader can then use our protocol and swap in and out of assets. They can fully manage their position, so they can swap in and out using bZx orders or, say, Kyber Swap or one of the other providers, or they can add collateral, pull out collateral. Interest is paid to lenders continually, so lenders can withdraw their interests and traders pull out profits. There's no restrictions also on our tokens where it's bound by our liquidity providers. Kyber Swap has a lot of popular ERC20s on there, and we support all of those. So it's really depends on our, if we can, price discover get price discovery on chain, and we can swap assets on chain, then we can support any of those tokens. So radically permissionless, we say this because we try to be as flexible and open as possible. Anyone can create loans. There's no accounts to set up or KYC. Anyone can loan out their assets that are just sitting idly in their wallet in a trustless manner. Our margin calls also don't require like a permission. There's no permission required for that. So our margin callers can be really anyone, and they monitor positions off chain. And when a position is bankrupt, they call in liquidate. And since we are connected to these on-chain price feeds, we can verify that it should be liquidated. And when it does get liquidated, the successful liquidator gets compensated from some of the collateral, so that's how they're incentivized. And also a couple other ways, we allow anyone to supply liquidity for margin calls, and also it's very easy to build on top of the protocol and extend it for new use cases. Some of the players in the bZx ecosystem, obviously borrowers and lenders, and also integrators, and DEXs. We're trying to partner with any DEX out there that wants to add margin lending or that might not have an easy way to do that. And there's also several revenue streams with that. They can get paid in opening fees when loans are open, or they can margin callers, like I said, will get compensated. Just real quick on the life cycle of the loan, there's a configuration phase where like either a lender or a borrower can go and set all the parameters of their loan. How long they want the loan to be open, what assets are being lent, the interest rate, initial margin, which is the amount of margin required to open the loan, and maintenance margin is when the loan gets liquidated if the position falls to that level. And once it's, like I said, once it's opened, it can be distributed off-chain or pushed on-chain. And once it's opened, the funds remain in the wallets of both the lender and the borrower until the loan opens. So then it escrows the funds at that point. So you can create an order and put it out there, and you don't have to deposit your funds. So if you want to end up changing your mind, no big deal. You can just do something else with your funds. And then maintenance is, there's the full, they can fully manage their position, like I said, take profit, pull out interest, all that through the protocol. And then loan closure is the final phase. Loans are monitored and closed by margin callers when they need to be, or closed early by the borrower. All right, so I'll touch on some new things we're going to be releasing. That's the base protocol right there. So I'll touch on a couple. So we're going to be releasing what we call iTokens soon, which is basically a protocol extension. So these are interest-bearing versions of assets. So there might be iETH for ETH or iDAI for DAI, et cetera, like for all the supported ERC20s. And these are interest-bearing versions. So you deposit your tokens into this contract. You get some tokens back, like some iETH back, and it just earns you interest passively. And this, we think, is very interesting because it's it's fully ERC20 compliant, so that you could, for instance, MakerDAO CDPs, you could potentially, when they have the multi-collateral DAI, you could deposit iETH into a CDP as collateral, and it's earning you interest, and it might offset the interest that you're paying for the CDP, and then some. So you can actually get have a CDP that actually earns you a profit in that way. And there's many other use cases that we see for them. And let's see, I'll touch on, okay, a couple other things. The price is always increasing, like it accrues interest, and that actually increases the value of the token. So I can, buy some iETH and just sit on it, and I'll see the price always increasing. And price is discovered on chains. It's calculated based on the token supply and amount of interest earned in underlying assets. So you can just query the contract and get the price. And I mentioned a couple of these. It basically earns you passive income forever. There's never like a need to redeploy the contract or anything like that. Borrowers, it's a global lending pool, so borrowers can just borrow continually. It'll earn you interest. Anyone can borrow against the token, and they can take any kind of leverage they want. So like 4x, they could take out a 4x loan on it, margin trade with that, and that's kind of transparent to the holders of the token. It just earns them interest, and they don't have to worry about it. Liquidity is unified. It's very easy. You can mint some tokens just by depositing the assets. You can buy them on an exchange. Getting out is just as easy. You just burn the tokens or sell them. And as I said, they fit nicely into existing DeFi infrastructure since they're ERC20 compliant. Also, P tokens. A lot of you are familiar with DYDX. They have margin tokens. So we're also releasing something similar, but different. So their tokens, they redeploy some new versions each month. Our tokens, it's just one token. So there could be like a 4x short ETH token, and it just rolls over every 28 days. You don't have to like buy a new token. You can just get in at once and be done with it. And just like iTokens, they're updated in real time. So the price is. And a couple other use cases: asset managers can use our, Melonport, Rego Block, others can use our protocol for to monetize idle positions. And I mentioned exchanges. DEXs can easily integrate us. Lending platforms, I mentioned CDPs, and there's others that could use us, and also wallet integrations. It could be abstracted away where like a wallet could potentially integrate with us and mint iTokens in the background, and like a user checks a box and they just earn interest on the assets that they're sitting in their wallet automatically. So, all right, well, that's about it.
Do you want to take any questions, or maybe we'll see. Are there any questions? All right. Oh, there's one.
Sorry, I keep asking questions. There must be some kind of gas cost involved in every margin call transaction that occurs and so forth. So does that mean that there's a lower limit to either the size of a loan or borrow, or
No,
the frequency of the margin
we
calls?
refund gas out of the collateral, the spent collateral. So some of that goes, like margin callers are basically, they're not going to, I mean, they'll be paid back for the gas and a bounty reward for liquidating. So, and that's paid out of collateral from the borrower.
Does the smart contract set the frequency of margin calls, or do you say, I want a margin call every time the collateral moves by 10% away from me?
Every order has a different maintenance margin that's set, and it's agreed on by the borrower and lender when they, open the position. So if it falls below, there's margin callers off chain that are querying. They're incentivized because if they liquidate, they get a reward. So they're monitoring positions, and if a position has gone under that margin maintenance, then they call liquidate. So it's going to be that level could potentially be different for every loan.
Any other questions? We're very much on time,
All right.
so we actually, this is awesome.